Good evening, Statto.
Oh man, what's it been, like 8-9 years since we last? No, a decade.
Yep, a decade. It's Thursday. It's 8 o'clock. This is becoming regular again. So it's EC Tales, episode number 3. Speaking of me, hello there, not my monkey, not my
Hey,
circuit.
not my monkey.
Hello there again, and hello there again.
Wow.
And hi to Pete for joining us, guys.
Hey, Pete.
So, you've got your monkey drink.
Yeah. Just trying to add some rigor to this whole proceeding.
I'm just drinking some fizzy water.
Had a rough day. I'm a bit dead on my feet.
Hey. Right. Let's just dive right into this, shall we? Let's just do it. Yeah, let's go for it. The Switch and The Thing from the Grave. We're going to be looking at both of these stories tonight, in the comics and also in the TV versions.
Hey, Ashton Jackal.
Yep, Ian and Ashen. Yeah, get a little pick me up. Yeah, something to.
Could get some surgery.
You could, yeah. Well, it fits right into what we're going to be talking about tonight. So thanks for joining us, guys. Those of you watching on YouTube, if you want to hit that like, that would be great, and subscribe if you haven't already. There you go. I remember to say it. I remember about once every couple of months to say that. So please do. And
well
thank
done,
everybody. If you're watching on the old Facebook, thank you. And to the one stalker that we have on Twitch, thanks for joining us. So we're going to start with The Thing from the Grave, which is by Al Feldstein, who practically wrote everything. In EC Comics, or he edited all the comics. Anyway, eventually edited all the comics, and he wrote an awful lot of them, and he drew a good few of them as well. He was, I think he was in. From what I've read, he was in awe of Johnny Craig as an artist, and you can see a kind of influence with his artwork. Yeah, it wasn't quite as good, I would say, as an artist as Johnny Craig, but he was really good at just comically grotesque stuff. And we're looking at what the kind of story we're looking at here with The Thing from the Grave is your typical EC story that people would think about if you mentioned Tales from the Crypt in EC Comics.
Oh, for sure.
Definitely, yeah. And what you're looking at here is the front cover of the issue that it appeared on. drawn by Feldstein himself. The recolored version on the left, not as nice as the original colours on the right, I don't think. But I'm not even going to go on about that. Go back and watch episode 1 and 2 to hear me go on about all that.
Wow, look at the color compared to that second pick. My goodness.
Yeah, I know.
So much.
I took a photograph of both the color one and because I've got the black and white version as well, the Fantagraphics one. That's nice. I like them in black and white, I've got to say.
Horror comics really hold up in black and white, I think.
Yeah, so nice. I thought I'd include the page of the advert with the Vault Keeper, the Crypt Keeper, and the Old Witch advertising their science fiction comics.
That's one thing I do love about these reprint, like the ones that Dark Horse are putting out. Putting those old ads in and stuff like that is great.
They are, and the editorials is in there as well. Because in this issue, you've got the Crypt Keeper, and the editorial is talking about how the Old Witch has managed to wangle her way into presenting some stories, and this was their way of. They were now kind of like having all three hosts in all three titles that they had, mixing it up. So really, I think the header, whether it was Haunt of Fear, Vault of Horror, or Tales from the Crypt, it wouldn't really matter. It was the same comic you were buying.
Maybe just determine who started.
Exactly, and usually as well, kind of artist based as well, because I know Graham Ingalls did an awful lot of the ones with the Old Witch, because he drew a really good Old Witch. But yeah, so this is a typical EC Comics zombie story. So what's your take on this? Did you read this before watching the TV version again? Or?
Yeah, I'd seen the TV version so dang many times as a kid, but I mean, I read this one and then I watched it again for comparison. I gotta say, it's another one of those ones that they take the events and they shuffle them up a bit, but they pretty much tell everything they need to tell in a different way. Same exact story, just told in a slightly different way, and it works really well.
Yeah, it's very faithful to the events and the spirit of the original.
Never mind Miguel Ferrer in there, just knocking it out of the park. He's so good.
Yeah, it's a case of like the casting's perfect for the TV version.
Oh yeah,
but not really at all like the comic. The comic as it stands is your usual sort of jealousy rearing his ugly head. Hang on, I need to get a drink.
I think I did like the relationship kind of explanation in the comic a little bit better. Kind of like they were seeing each other for a while, versus in the episode, it's just kind of like, hey, how's it going? I'm a photographer. Oh man, you're dating some D-bag? Here, take my key. And then they're pretty much together.
You've got it's this whole kind of like love triangle, and you get the nice guy, and you've got the nasty guy. You can see the nasty guy's got the mustache and the the bags under the eyes and the unruly hair. That was unruly hair in the 1950s. And
how dare you?
He sets it up so that he stabs the good guy, buries him in a grave, and he thinks that this is going to get him, Yeah,
I think that's another thing I liked more about the episode or the show, where it was he didn't just show up in the middle of the street and be, hey man, take a look at this. Yeah.
Yeah. The show has him like it's got some nice stuff where he shits him in both shoulders.
Right.
And
is that the shoulder she cried on?
Yep, and that's a good line. The show was directed by Fred Decker of the Monster Club. Not the Monster Club, the Monster Squad. Yep. Yeah. We'll talk about that a wee bit more in a second. What I did like about this, more so I think than the TV show, is this is pure EC Comics, and that there is no reason for the dead.
I was thinking the same thing. They didn't need to explain.
Yeah, they don't explain it. You have this terrific bit where she screams because she's not going to give herself to the bad guy even after he's killed the good guy.
Yeah, right.
So he's going to lock her in a room with no windows, her door, so she can't escape, and then he's going to burn the house down with her in it. Nice guy. And she screams, And Bambi hears the scream, as you can see there, but so does the dead guy, who's the good guy.
Right.
And it's this scream that reanimates him, and he comes back from the grave. They don't bother with any explanation as to how, and they tend to do that a lot in EC comics, or the early ones.
Yeah.
Dead just come back.
Well, that's needless exposition. You only got 7 pages, so
yeah.
But at the same time, they did need to fill that 25 minutes with something, so that gave it another 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Hold out.
We've a very healthy looking dead man coming back, because he's not been dead for that long.
Right.
Corpse coming back from the dead. And he needs to be quite powerful, because he crushes into the place and carries their body out with the flames around him. This is none of this is really there, but we'll get to that when we start. We'll talk about the differences in a wee minute when we get to the actual TV episode.
Absolutely.
But that's a typical Feldstein face, which is
right.
Which I kind of love. I love the way he does the screams and the looks of anguish and fear. You see in the guy there, and I like the ending. I really do like the ending, because when he kills, when the good guy gets killed, the grave is already dug, and he falls into the grave, and he buries him in a shallow grave. So he ends up taking the bad guy into the same grave, and then just covering him up with the dirt and burying him alive. So they're burying them both together in this grave. I just like that ending. And
in both versions, the lady never figured out what happened. She just heard screams.
Yeah, she just heard screams and then thought, I'm not going out in the woods.
No.
But yeah, I also liked about what I liked about this story as well was the Crypt Keeper was, or is the Crypt Keeper? This is the Vault Keeper in this one, isn't it?
Yep.
He was popping up throughout the story, telling the
narrating,
story. Yeah, and I like when they do that. They actually visually have him appear, and he's talking to us as it goes on. And so
I feel like that goes away more for the series trolls on there.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So yeah, I enjoyed this. I'd not read this story, and I enjoyed it. It's simple. Tells what it needs to tell. Does it in an economical kind of way.
Quick A to B filler.
Yep, and it's got nice visual imagery in it. So yeah, I really liked it, and I was wondering what I was going to think of the TV show.
You hadn't seen this one?
I hadn't seen it, no. But I saw Terry Hatcher was in it. So I saw the Mike Vosberg cover, as you see here, and I thought this is going to be slightly different by the looks of things.
Yeah.
It's just got tied to a bed.
It was HBO, there. So they had to have a little.
Yeah, so something. They had to have all that. No nudity in this one because it's Terry Hatcher, so she'll not do the nudity. So they're doing like a fashion shoot with her. She's a sort of fashion model.
Great creature makeup, though.
Terrific creature makeup there. Yeah. I like the fact that it generally looks as if he's smiling when he kind of comes out and acts his vengeance. But yeah, Miguel Ferrer is a... Sorry?
Oh, go ahead.
Well, Miguel Ferrer is a bad guy, and he plays it brilliantly, the way that he does, and kind of like RoboCop and all these kind of movies. He has sleaze down to a T.
That was his bag in the 80s, though.
Totally. Yeah,
Deep Star 6, too.
Yes, he just turned up and did what he normally did to get the paycheck, and it was brilliant.
I think my favorite line from him was like the whole, he's not coming to save you because he's buried out in back. He's decaying right now. I killed him.
Yeah. The Crypt Keeper himself is reading, is it Play Dead? Like it's a version of Playboy, but it's all zombies and stuff in it. He calls it what does he call it? A Ghoulie magazine.
Ghoulie magazine, yeah.
Ghoulie magazine, yeah. And so the puns start very early, as you want to do, and
half the fun.
Yep, and this is written and directed by Fred Decker. He wrote, I think, about half a dozen or so episodes. This is the only one that he directed as well, and it's a good one. I mean, what you do in 20 minutes is pretty good. I agree with you, though. I think if they had a connection between all three characters at the start, it would have been better, and that's what the comic strip has. So in this case, we meet Miguel Ferrer at the same time as a good guy photographer meets him.
Right.
And so there's no real connection between those two characters.
In all honesty, I think, like they didn't, the way they shot that beginning where it was just like, oh, you think you could take my, wife? And he's like, she's not your wife. That's all you really needed. You didn't need the flashback really.
No.
To deal with it. And they could have had a little bit more time at the cabin.
Yep. Definitely.
Because I think that was like the weirdest part where, like I said, it was just like, oh, hi, you got a jerk, have a key to my apartment. I don't know you, but take the key. Oh yeah, sure, I'll come on over here. For all she knows, he's no better. But
yeah, because the two kind of main sets that they've got in sequences, they've got the photography studio and they've got the cabin. The cabin stuff just looks cooler and feels better as well.
Yeah.
So it's more fun to have them out there in the cabin. But I guess it's that kind of aesthetic of the 80s and 90s, where they always had these kind of like photo shoot storylines. It always has that kind of.
But it did grab you by the throat, got your attention right away.
Yeah, exactly. It did. So in this one, like I mentioned that in the comic, traditionally EC Comics when it started, the dead had just come back because they must avenge something or whatever. They just come back until it's sorted out.
This reminded me of Valentine's Day a bit.
Yeah, and this one she gets the good guy. Gives her a pendant. Was it an Aztec pendant?
Yeah, something like
that. And this is what protects her. So when she's tied to the bed by Miguel Ferrer, who's not going to burn down the place, he's going to do worse things by the looks of stuff. It's because she's wearing this that allows the good guy to come back from the dead as a zombie and come and kind of help her. And I didn't need that. I like the whole idea of like
he kept a promise.
Yeah, he kept a promise and he looked after her,
which makes him an even better guy in that light.
Exactly, because then you know it's him as the corpse coming back. It's not just some protective spell that's bringing him back.
That makes this weekend at Bernie's.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. Dear. I can understand that.
I didn't mind her as Lois in the first couple seasons, but I mean, and she was an all right Bond girl for what they gave her to do, but I haven't seen her in a whole lot. I didn't really watch Desperate Housewives.
I think, I watched like the first season of that and she was fine in that. But yeah.
Well, the third season, they started to get really soap opera-y. And then the fourth season, they got them married. So it just kind of got really silly. And they put a bunch of comic characters in there and kind of murdered the whole aesthetic. But
yeah, I think I started watching into season 2, I think it was. But it's one of these shows that just get more and more ridiculous. And I thought, no.
Yeah, it fell apart real quick after 2 seasons, I think. What's that?
Oh, right. Oh. Excellent. Cool. Excellent.
So how does this one hold up for you as a first-time viewing in 2021?
I had good fun with it. It rattles along. It doesn't have any kind of like dip in it. It tells the story well. And the changes are like, most people are not going to be watching it 20 minutes after they read the comic strip.
Right.
So they're not going to be nitpicking about these things. I like the Mike Vosberg cover that they used on it as well, with a hand coming out.
Sure.
Very spoilerific.
Yeah, I always love the title cards in these episodes.
Yeah, great. No, for me, I thought this was like really, really good fun. I'm looking forward to getting the box set if it ever turns up, gets past customs, so I could watch it in a slightly better standard definition than when I was watching it on YouTube.
It's like you're watching on an old little CRT TV. Crappy picture.
Yeah. It's. I mean, so for yourself, because you said you've seen this a few times.
I've probably seen the whole series at least 3 times, all the way through in my life, at least.
Right.
It's an old childhood favorite.
I've got to catch up with that. That's like maybe Hammer House of Horror, I suppose. Okay, that's The Thing from the Grave. Yeah, that's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Not any bad ones so far, I don't think. I've just had ones that maybe.
No, I think like as far as like episodes that didn't do great. I mean, that was later on in the series when they started to run out of like stuff to do and money and things like that. But this is season 2. I think season 2 is considered by most people to be the best season Tales from the Crypt did. Yep. Certainly, I think the biggest season that they did.
Definitely, yeah. But the chat are still talking about Terry Hatcham, so, and so they should be. Yeah, let's go to the Switch. The Switch. That's not in this Dark Horse collection.
Nope, that's in the Choke Gasp.
The Choke Gasp. I've got it in one of the Graham Ingalls books.
Mm-hmm.
So they're all black and white images here. The issue that was in has got a terrific Jack Davis cover here with this mad rat. Eat a guy who's just escaped from a sinking ship.
Isn't that about how it is?
That's brilliant.
That's the. Oh, good.
No, that's the humour of Tales from the Crypt and the humour of EC Comics that a lot of people just didn't see.
It just reminds me a lot of that Planet Terror movie where the guy kept on complaining about how much he hated Wednesdays, and then it cuts later to him getting his guts ripped out by zombies, and he's yelling, "Effing Wednesdays!"
Yeah. So Pete's mentioning Hammer House of Horror. We'd love a special one of those one day. Definitely, that will be something further down the line. Have you seen all of those stuff?
What, Hammer House of Horror?
Yep.
Not a one.
Not a one?
Not a one.
Right, but it'll be a bit further down the line.
Oh, yeah.
But we will get there. We've already got stuff planned for Halloween for the whole of October. I mean, me and Lucifer are getting Ashen back to carry on from our Evil Dead show of Tuesday night there. But me and Statto have got some interesting ones lined up for October as it is. But anyway, back to EC Comics and Tales from the Crypt. Like I was saying earlier, it's like Graham Ingalls, when he did The Witch, he did a terrific Witch, and you see her here introducing the Switch. The story of which I thoroughly enjoyed.
Yeah.
And it's not in any way, shape, or form realistic.
No.
Now you say, how could it? What you would mean realistic? We've just talked about someone coming back from the grave, but this is just ridiculous. This is
that
almost
BS
like
50s science.
Yeah, this is almost like a Monty Python-esque horror story. When you read it, you have to kind of accept it that way.
Oh yeah.
You see the twist coming a mile off, don't you?
Oh, for sure.
It's like it's practically after the first page of this, you see the twist coming. It's the same on the TV show. So it is this old guy who's rich, and he has this young woman who he thinks he's in love with, besotted with, and he's in love. He thinks he's in love with her. And he doesn't want to tell her he's rich. He wants to win her over without having her just love him for his money. But she's kind of like, I can't really be loving somebody that looks as old and decrepit as you. So he decides that he's going to go and meet this experimental doctor. I'm going to jump forward a page here so you can actually get a good look at him. There he is in the centre there.
Like Dr. Octopus.
Yeah, he's going to let this guy experiment on him and change his body and make him younger. So they get this young, strapping man who agrees for lots of money to swap faces, as in give him his face. So they do the operation and he gets this young guy's face. And then he goes to her and she's like, yeah, but you still got no body, mate. How can I be in love with somebody with no body? So he goes back and you see he gets this torso. And this is my favourite thing about the comic, which is not really in the TV show. He gets this muscular torso, but he's still got the spindly wee arms and legs.
That was in the show.
It was in the show, but they didn't have the arms and the legs.
Right.
And so that's even more ridiculous. There's a reason why they did it the way they did it in the show, which makes sense.
Yeah.
But I just love that image. The images of it's almost like something for a Mad magazine.
Oh yeah.
And so he goes on and he gets he gets that sorted too, and he gets the arms, the legs, and now he's as buff and muscular as the original guy was. But at the time it's taken him to do all this, she's managed to meet somebody else. So the big twist that you can see coming is she's met the guy that swapped all his body parts with him. And it turns out that at the end she was just looking for somebody.
She's this gold digger.
Yeah, that was rich. So she wanted to marry this old guy because he was rich. So you see it coming a mile off, but it's a funny story. It's well drawn. It's ridiculous stuff to look at. Graham Ingalls just nails it with all these kind of weird characterizations that he does throughout it. And the TV show was directed by Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, that's right. During his pump you up popularity.
Yeah. So what was your? I really liked reading the strip. What was your take on reading the actual comic?
This, honestly, I think almost with the exception of a couple scenes, this might be the closest we've got to a straight page-to-page translation so far. I mean, they lifted even quite a bit of the dialogue from the story.
Yeah, it felt almost like a complete lift at times.
I mean, they had to add a few scenes because you can't not after 7 pages, like the whole like messed up face and stuff like that. But for the most part, this one was like they didn't change the order of anything. They had all the most important parts in there. William Hickey knocked it out of the. Actually, you know what? I think the thing is, I like the other story better, but I like the cast in this one better.
I
it's full of character actors.
Yeah, the other story is more like a traditional EC comic, but this one's really well cast.
Because I mean, Miguel Ferrer carried most of that because he was the only one that really had anything to do. The other two were they were really generic. Not their fault. It's just how it is. You got the good guy and the like damsel in distress almost, and then you've got the cool bad guy who got most of the screen time too.
Yeah.
So, but this one, I mean, you've got Kelly Preston, you got Roy Brocksmith of what is he Total Recall and lots of other little things. Rick Rosovich, who does tons of TV. He was in ER and Pacific Blue or something like that. Bunch of TV. William Hickey, of course, one of my favorites. Ian Abercrombie. Dude's been everywhere.
Yep. It's all people that even if you didn't know them, you would have known their faces when this was first put out on TV because they were always playing the same types of characters.
Even one of the punks, Mark Pellegrino.
Oh yeah,
as he's all over the place too.
Yep, it's a very faithful adaptation.
Mm-hmm.
And here you see the scene where he's the younger man with the torso here.
Of course, he said he wanted to look 30, and that dude ain't 30.
Yeah, no way. They gave him the arms as well. So he didn't have the spindly wee arms, which it makes sense in the TV version because
that'd be more effects.
It allows him to then pan down and show you his legs. You know, so he looks as if he's now muscular, but no, you get the cuts away to show his legs.
Yep.
He's still got the old man's legs. So yeah, it's a good one. Roxanne, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it's one of these ones. It's directed by Arnie, and he makes an appearance in the opening scene because that's not just a skull; that's actually dumbbells that the Crypt keeper is keeping fit with, and Arnold comes in and gives him some. Do
you want that corpse body, 90-pound body, the rest of your death?
Yep. Which is quite cool. That's quite good. I don't think Arnie's directed anything else, has he?
No, probably not. I mean, at that time he was a promotion machine. I don't remember Planet Hollywood had quite kicked off yet, but he was in the, go all over schools and promote fitness type stuff. And he hadn't done Terminator 2 yet. So the height of his acting career hadn't quite gotten there, but he was still on the up and right into the war with Stallone.
Yeah.
For box office king of action.
Yep. He did a decent enough job. It's very. It's got a feel of Batman 66 about it. When he's doing the operating tables and all that kind of stuff, it doesn't feel. It's somewhere between like a Universal Horror meets Batman 1966, and yeah, he does a decent enough job. I like that makeup as well on Hickey that you see in the bottom right, where he's meant to be the young guy. So obviously a makeup job, but
oh yeah,
but it's a pretty good one. It allows him to emote through it for that scene.
Reminds me of Max Headroom.
It does, Max Headroom. Yeah, the computer generated character. He was not a computer generated character. But
No.
Something
exactly.
else to talk about another day. But yeah, this was an interesting double bill. I wouldn't normally put these two together as a double bill,
Yeah,
but it was interesting because it was two very different episodes again, and it showed you the difference in the original EC stories because they're both very different in tone for the
well,
original.
that's the charm
comics.
of an anthology book.
Yeah, and also for the TV show because they're very different in tone and the way they're made as well.
And I think that's why the themed ones, the anthology themed ones work, where say if you get a bunch of people together to put a bunch of stories in that don't have a theme, you'd be going, well, I only like one of these stories. Why would I want to pay for 5? Which is usually what doomed an anthology book. But these type of things where it's just like, hey, you get all, 3 space stories, 3 horror stories. That was always popular for, you just go, hey, I love horror. What can I lose? Let's have a look,
Yeah, totally.
And that's what this works. Oh, I'm sure he does.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. What's a connection with Max Headroom?
Does it have to do with Matt Frewer?
Was Matt Frewer in it?
He was Max Headroom.
Yeah, but was he in Bond?
Oh, Bond? I'm not 100% sure.
Oh, no.
I don't think so.
Not my monkey's got one on his ear. There's got to be something. Maybe it was a lassie that was in it or something. Oh, I don't know.
I mean, he was in Lawnmower Man 2. Where's his credit for that?
Pierce Brosnan was in Lawnmower Man.
That's right. He was in Lawnmower 2. Figured it out.
And then there was Kevin Bacon. There you go, sorted. The Fourth Protocol. Was he in the Fourth Protocol? Oh, right. Oh. Right, cool. I haven't seen that film in about... When did it come out? 30 years ago? 20 odd years ago? Yeah. Brosnan was the killer in that, wasn't he? Yeah, that's quite a good film. I'm never
this your first time watching this one too?
Yeah, it's pretty much going to be apart from like the first half dozen episodes of season 1. This is going to be my first time watching any of these episodes.
Awesome, that's great. This one reminds me a lot of Time Enough at Last from the Twilight Zone.
Oh, right. Okay.
Do you remember that one? Burgess Meredith.
Yep, that was I remember that one.
The one episode that probably everybody in the world has seen of Twilight Zone.
Yep. Well, I think everybody sees the Burgess Meredith episodes, don't they? And the William Shatner, the two that he did.
For sure, that and then Terror at 20,000 or whatever it was. For sure,
yep.
But everybody knows that ending where the bomb goes off. He's like, "Yay, I've got enough time to read," and then he breaks his glasses.
Because I always thought, okay, that's a classic episode, that's funny. But I always thought, but it's not that bad, the glasses. But that was because I had good vision, and it was only when my vision started to go that I realized, oh,
that's terrifying.
That's awful. Now
you would have like 1-inch thick Coke bottle glasses.
Yep. So yeah, because now I totally get that. Yep. Yeah. Good episode. Yeah. So what I liked about this viewing of The Thing from the Grave was that it felt a lot like when I watched Creep Show.
Yeah.
Because it was almost like you kind of go, oh, yeah, this is one that was ripped off for Creep Show.
I was going to say they had a similar one. That was the one with Liam Neeson, right? When he came back and buried him in the neck deep.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Very similar makeup too.
Yeah, but but I think it was kind of like the
not Liam
low budget quality of this as well. Yeah, it wasn't Liam Neeson. What was that?
No, it was Leslie Nielsen.
Leslie Nielsen.
Very similar.
Liam Neeson. No, who's it? I'm thinking
very similar names.
Candles.
Leslie Nielsen. Yes.
Yeah. Welcome to guys just saying names randomly. This has got a kind of quality to it where they try to make the most out of the cheapness of some of it. And I think Creepshow does that really well too. But it goes that one step further with the gels and the colours and the Dutch angles and all that in the cameras. But I was watching this and I was thinking, Creepshow, this would have been a perfect week installment of Creepshow.
For sure.
So I did like that.
You're going to see a lot of that in the series.
I guess so. But again, Creepshow jumped into my head because there's no real reason for the dead to come back in some cases. So that's very pure to EC Comics.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Of course, Creepshow is like super, they did that because they love this stuff.
Totally, yeah. So I'm going to do a quick jump here between the comic of The Thing from the Grave. It's interesting to get to know that this is before Tales from the Crypt. The magazine actually was Tales from the Crypt. It's still the Crypt of Terror here. Another interesting thing is, and we've not covered any of these, but we probably will at some point if anybody wants to watch any of these shows. Weird Science and Weird Fantasy, the actual science fiction comics didn't sell that well. But they liked making them, so they just kept doing them. And you're like, how good is that? It's like they weren't making a loss on them, but I don't think. But they liked making the science fiction ones. And
I think the horror ones were selling so well it afforded them that chance.
I think so, yeah. So that gives us some really nice Ray Bradbury adaptations and all kinds of stuff. But I'm looking at this with the Feldstein artwork, and then you have a look at someone like Graham Ingalls, and it's just kind of like they're so different. And again, that's the
pencil mileage on his.
Yeah, that's the beauty of the anthology, and that you're getting a different feel in the stories. You make a zombie story, a vampire story, a true crime ripped from the headlines type story. But you're not just getting the themes and the genres. You're getting this different feel of these artists as well, which is like it's a huge thing for EC Comics, and they played it up in their editorial. Another thing is I was reading a few of the editorial bits where I was reading the Switch, and I was reading Thing from the Grave, and you've got like the Crypt Keeper talking about the people that were doing the stories too, so they do give them the ghastly Graham, for ghastly Graham Ingalls and stuff like that. This is before Stan Lee did all the kind of Jack the King Kirby and Stan the Man Lee.
Right.
EC Comics were doing this with their creators, and they didn't have their names on the strips, but it was there in the editorial page. They were mentioned, and they had their own following amongst the kids that were reading them. It's essentially, this is kind of proto Marvel Comics, what Stan Lee did with Marvel Comics. It must have been hugely influenced by this, because that the feel that you get when you actually sit down and read a whole issue is that feel that kids that were reading this would think, all right, the Crypt Keeper's talking to me, in much the same way as you felt Stan Lee was actually talking to you.
Oh yeah,
I love that.
Hi, Wise guys. He's listening while he stuffs his face during a lunch break.
Hey, Wise guys.
Fair enough.
Thanks for joining us. Oh, look, there's Statto as well. Hey, Statto.
Hey.
Hey. Yeah, I stopped trying to answer and say anything in the streams while I was doing stuff.
You were on a roll. I didn't want to interrupt.
I can do it. It's just everybody should just be glad I get the right intro. It's a new intro today.
Oh yeah,
actual EC Tales. I thought, you know what, we can't keep calling it Comic Book Gold, but it's not. So an actual intro for EC Tales. So yeah, that's these two stories. Anything else you want to say before we kind of move on and wrap up? Because we usually do about 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah, no, it's. I think that these stories, even though they're about 7 pages, they still hold up pretty well.
Yeah.
I mean, they used to do this with superheroes, like the Showcase Presents, where they'd give you like 6 pages of Green Lantern and say, hey, is it good? Do we do another series? Kind of thing. So this sort of thing was proven back then, but these things this format still holds up quite a bit. And I mean, in 7 pages, that's got to be at least 1 or 2 issues worth of words by today's standards.
Yeah, well, just that 1 page alone.
Yeah.
I'm guilty of that because I was trying to replicate this whole kind of feel, and even in the 70s feel in Elsa Dark. I'm guilty of having like lots of text and things happening in a page. I don't see it as being guilty. You know, I see it as being it's a certain style of storytelling, and I was trying to emulate it a little bit. The first couple of issues of Elsa Dark, and just to kind of, in order to understand it, you kind of have to do it.
Right.
That was my approach.
You'll update things where you need to.
Yeah, I wish I'd seen this guy before I did the Bampots. Like a giant torso with spindly legs would have been a great Bampot. But that was not to be. But yeah, well, I'm going to get my box set at some point.
What a marathon you'll have.
Yeah, but we haven't chosen the next ones. I don't know if you've got any that you've read in there that you know would be good to do or whatever. But
I'm not 100% sure how many more there are with TV adaptations.
That's the thing. I read a good one and then I go, I search it and it's not a TV
because there were only like 90-something episodes of Tales from the Crypt.
Yeah.
And there's
900 stories.
Yeah, I was going to say, it doesn't even scratch the surface of what they...
Yeah.
And it's not just Tales from the Crypt. I mean, they took from, Haunt of Fear, Vault of Horror, Shock Suspense stories. All of those were fair game.
Yeah.
But, I mean, eventually we're probably just going to have to start talking about the stories going by issue or something. I don't know, but
yeah, no, I think we'll still do this. I think we're going to kind of up it with the next episode. We're going to do 3 stories in the next episode, guys. Yeah, I know 3 stories. It'll be longer than 45 minutes. It'll be an hour. I know 3 stories in the next episode, so that'll be an interesting one.
You're just looking for more excuse to watch these.
Yeah, well, I've not got it scheduled, so I will have the actual box set by then, so I'll be able to actually watch them.
Well, I know 2 of them get released September 14th for these new collections.
That's right. I've got them pre-ordered. So,
yep. And then another one in November.
Yeah. So we're sticking to the ones that you can actually legally read without having to go into like somebody's blog where they've got them there. So
you might have to try to get that choke gasp story again.
Yeah, I might do.
If they're at least digital.
Yep. I've got most of the stories in it, I think, though.
Oh, I suppose you could just read your you could just read the cryptographics.
Yeah, because I've got the Fantagraphics ones. I think I've got most of the stories that are in that. Yeah, cool.
Oh, I'm guessing for sure, yeah.
So that was the third of EC Tales, and it was The Switch, directed by Arnold Schwarzenegger, and The Thing from the Grave, directed by Fred Decker, the man who did not make the Monster Club. But he did make the Monster Squad.
He did confirm Wolfman's got snards.
Yeah, we should do a Fred Decker special someday because he's not got a lot of films, but they're interesting.
Well, there's only one you really want to talk about.
Night of the Creeps.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The one that I couldn't remember the name of last time we talked about him. Because I'm going Doolally, as they say in Scotland. I'm losing it. But yeah, well, that's us, guys. Unless there's anyone to ask us. But we're going to be back. We'll be back next Tuesday for a Team Dark stream. It's just going to be a draw chill stream. So turn up with a glass of your favourite late night beverage, whether it's a nice single malt or a cocoa, and join us for a chill stream as we actually work on things and just chat about stuff. But we're going to be back, me and Statto, on Thursday next week, 8 o'clock, back with Wullie and Statto at the movies, and we're going to be doing another Stallone special. It's Demolition Man versus Judge Dredd. We know how much the chat loved Judge Dredd the last time we did it. So now we'll see what it's like when we pit it against...
I think this chat just loves Judge Dredd.
Oh, I think so. We're going to pit him against the Demolition Man, just because I thought I fancied watching Demolition Man again after having a marathon of Rambo movies. So please do join us then. And until then, stay safe, take care, and I'll see you all on the old interwebs somewhere before then.
Good night, everybody. Thanks.
Yep. See you guys. Take care.
The ghosts are moving tonight. Rest tonight. Rest hungry.